Hello friendos and randos. OP08 is officially out in the West, which means a bunch of new leaders. Of course, you've seen my Mako video, you've seen my pudding video. Now I have a new video for you with the new Unga Bunga Kalgara leader. So Kalgara is pretty fun. It actually had some results in the East, even with Red Purple Law and Lucci being at full power. So it definitely has a lot of potential to be a pretty strong leader in the West as well. So let me go through the leader effect as well as the deck list, and we will talk a little bit more about that. So first off, Kalgara's leader effect is down times 1 when attacking. You may play down a Shandoran warrior type character card from your hand with a cost equal to the total number of Dawn on your board, and if you do so, then you take a life. So for example, if you have 6 Dawn, then you can play down this 6 cost Kalgara vanilla by attaching 1 Dawn to leader and then attacking. So it's pretty good because it gives you a lot of board flood. You're able to play down characters like this Kalgara vanilla for 1 Dawn only, which means you also have 5 Dawn active to play down another character card. So of course, that being said, the deck will have quite a few of these Shandoran warrior type character cards. So the first one, most importantly, is the 6 cost Kalgara vanilla, which is pretty funny that the most important card is probably a vanilla in this deck. The 6 cost 8k stat line is really good. I think it's also pretty difficult to remove, especially because you are calling it down with a 5 cost alongside it on your 6 Dawn turn. It's a vanilla, there's not much to say about it, but it is searchable. It is both Sky Island as well as Shandora Warrior type, so you will be able to search it with 2 different cards in your deck. Next is the Mont Blanc Nolan card. So he is on play if you have a Kalgara on your board, and if your leader has the Shandoran Warrior type, then you can heal 1 card from the top of your deck to your life, which is really good because your leader effect will make you want to take a lot of life cards. So by using your leader effect, you play down the Kalgara, and then with the remaining 5 Dawn, you play down Nolan, and then you get the on following turns also, as long as your Kalgara vanilla remains on the board, you can continue to play down more Nolans. Next up for 5 cost, we have the 5 cost Wiper from OP06. His effect is, on play, you may send a 1 cost stage to the bottom of its owner's deck, and then look at the top 5 cards of your deck and pick a Shandora Warrior type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck. So notably, this doesn't need to be your own stage. So if you're playing against a deck like Reiju with a 1 cost Germa Kingdom stage, you can actually use this to bottom the Reiju stage. So it's really powerful in that matchup. But other than that, you can also use it on your own 1 cost Upper Yard stage. So Upper Yard's effect is, on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and add a Sky Island type card to your hand. So these two usually come in combo with each other, because without the Upper Yard, the Wiper is just a 5 cost vanilla, but with the Upper Yard, you're able to search for more pieces, such as the Kalgara or some of your other Shandoran warriors. One main one being the 4 cost Wiper. 4 cost Wiper is a 2k counter and also a Shandoran warrior, and its effect is, look at the top 5 cards of your deck for Upper Yard and then add it to your hand. So Upper Yard wise, this synergizes with this, which also synergizes with this, which is really good. Not only that, if you may also play an Upper Yard from your hand when you use the Wiper, so it also lets you get quote-unquote 1 Dawn free by playing the Upper Yard from your hand for free as well. So these are the two of the searchers that you have in the deck. These 3 are all searchers that you have in the deck, and the last searcher we're playing is 2 cost Shura. 2 cost Shura is, on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then add a Sky Island type card to your hand. So you are searching for all of your relevant pieces, except Nolan. Almost everything is Sky Island type, so you're able to take the Kalgaras, the Wipers, the Upper Yard even, and then continue to look for your key pieces. Now, because this is an aggro yellow deck, we're looking at like flooding the board as much as possible. We have the OG board flooding yellow card, Om, and his partner Holy. So Om's effect is, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then if you have, you may pick Holy from those top 5, and then if not, put the rest at the bottom of your deck, and then you may play a 3 cost or lower Holy from your hand. So you're able to play Om into Holy on your 4 Dawn turn, or if you are on your 5 Dawn turn, you can leader effect swing, play down the Wiper from your hand with your leader effect, and then you can play Om into Holy. So you get 5-4-3 on your 5 Dawn turn, which is really good. Okay, next we'll talk a bit about the 2k counters. So we've mostly covered the main characters that we're including in the deck. So 2k counters wise, other than the Wiper, we're also running 4 of the 5 cost Satori. It's a trigger body, which is good, and other than that, it's also searchable 2k counter, so we're running it. Next is 2 copies of Frankie. So we're running a total of 10 2k counters. We're running Frankie because again it's a trigger body, and it also helps you cycle. If you don't want the body, you just want to draw one card, you can also do it that way, which is good. But trigger body in general is very good for this deck because it is so aggressive. Okay. Next is 3 copies of 5 cost Rush Ace. So Rush Ace is really good because you use it along your Kalgara turn. So you develop a 7k body that rushes at your opponent, and you also develop the 8k body. You can also of course drop both the 7k Ace and the 7k Wiper, and then you can push with that as well. So very, very strong. Okay, and then to wrap up the deck, we have a few of the counter events. So first is OP05 Thor, 1 cost counter event. Give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 2000 power for the battle, and then if your opponent has 2 life or less, then you get an additional 2000 power. So it is the yellow radical beam basically. Really good because as an aggressive deck, you are intending to push your opponent to low life anyway, so most of the time you will be able to reach that threshold. Another thing about the Ace is that you do need to have 2 life or less for him to gain rush. So one convenient thing is that when you're on curve on your 6 down turn, usually you will take the first 2 life on your opponent's 3 and 5 down turn, and then you would leader effect, play down Kalgara, taking your 3rd life, so you're at 2 life now. So you would leader effect, playing down one of your warriors, Shandoran warriors, and then put yourself at 2 life, and then your Ace would be able to rush since you are now on 2 life. So that's the synergy there. We're also running 4 of the Earth's Will Won't Lose. I'll put out the English card name here because I don't actually know the English card name. But it's a counter event. Give up to one of your leader or characters plus 3000 power if your leader has the Shandoran warrior type. And then after that, you may play an upper yard from your hand. So it's 1 cost, you get to +3, and you also get to cycle out a brick and look for another card. So that's really good. You can even use this to search for Thor to get even more counter out. Now, knowing me, there has to be a couple of one-offs in the deck. So first off, I'm running 1 copy of Flame Split. I think this is Blaze Split in the West. 1 cost main or counter. Give up to one of your leader or characters plus 1000 for the turn, which is really, really good because it gives you like a 6k base leader, giving you like more defense for every hit. So this is really good against decks with really wide boards. And then after that, if your opponent has 2 life or less, you can rest one of their 4 cost characters. So this also helps against like aggression, because you're able to use it to rest like one of their other 4 cost attackers. Like against Lucci, you can rest the 4 cost Lucci, Borsalino, Kuzan, things like that. Against Doflamingo, of course, most of their board is going to be 4 cost, so you can rest that. And lastly, when you're going for lethal as well, this is a main/counter event, so you can use it during your turn too. So you can use it to give your opponent, give your leader or one of your characters +1, and then rest one of your opponent's blockers, which is really, really good. Yellow doesn't really have a good way to answer 5 cost blockers yet, but 4 cost is pretty easy to hit, so this is the card that we're using for it. And it just helps you get that extra lethal power off because it also gives you +1k to the character, so it is quote-unquote free. Like you get to rest the character for free basically because you pay 1 and you get 1k power. Okay, and then the last card I'm running is 1 copy of 10 cost Ace. I think this is pretty good for games that go a bit longer. It's also helpful because it does let you heal, so you can, for 1, establish the big body, for 2, heal a life, and for 3, you get to rush your opponent. And this deck naturally goes down on life very quickly as well, so that's one good reason why I like this card. You could always just play a 4th Rush Ace instead, but I think it's pretty good. It gives you a good amount of aggression as well as that surprise kind of heal factor. When people are like trying to set up 2-turn lethal, they may not account for having to play around the Rush Ace, so I think it's a pretty good one-off to have as well. Now, that being said, this is basically the deck list. In terms of like flexibility, I don't feel like this deck is very flexible in terms of deck building. If anything, I think the only cards that you can reasonably cut are like Shura. If you want to decrease the number of searchers, you want to like play more powerful cards to up the overall strength of the deck but reduce consistency, I think it's an option. But I think this deck is really like reliant on finding your Kalgara and your Holy, as well as your Searcher and your events. So I feel like you can't really afford to cut the Shura, but definitely leave it up to people who have played the deck a little bit more to solve it for you. And I think again the Western meta is going to be different. So maybe even cards like Gadatsu could be useful in this deck depending on your meta. Because if you're playing it on 5 Dawn against 5 life leaders, you'll be able to use it to KO a 4-cost character, which is really good. And you're not going to be swinging that heavily early, so your opponent might choose to guard anyway. So that's something to take note of as well. So maybe you could even run Gadatsu in this 5-cost A slot, or you could even run the new 8-hit Nami, or you could run, I've seen some lists also running 7-cost Big Mom instead. So there's definitely a lot of options that you have to play new cards in the deck depending on how the meta changes. But I think for now this is like the basic Kalgara list, and if there's any flex slots for me, I think you can't really cut any of the Shandoran warriors because there's only 12 in the deck list already. You can't cut this event either because you want the targets for your Wiper so that you get value. And I think that's the main thing about it. I feel like Holy is really important here. I think Rush Ace is really good as a slot. I think the 2k counters are not really negotiable. You do want them to be searchable off your upper yard and your Shura as well. I think Eltor is really good because it helps you defend like really large hits later in the game, especially because the way that we've kind of discovered to play this in the East was to treat it a bit like Whitebeard, where you just take every life and then you just defend yourself with Radical Beam and Guard Point, right? So it is Radical Beam and Guard Point. Then you just take every life and then heal, you defend with hand instead of with life cards. So that's one way to go about playing it. Matchup spread wise, I think Kalgara's worst matchup is probably Lucci with Stage, but now that Lucci doesn't have Stage, it might be a lot easier to deal with, depending on what they're running. I think another big problem for Kalgara is 4-cost Kuzan, because there's no removal in this deck like at all, so you're unable to really answer that very well. So if they play like 4-cost Kuzan and then they do like Rebecca Brook, it's going to be a bit difficult to clear the 4-cost Kuzan. But otherwise, it is very aggressive, it's very fast. If you perfect curve Kalgara, it's very gross. So let me quickly show you the curve that you can expect to play when you're playing this deck. So let's talk about the going first curve and then the going second curve. So going first, you only really have one play option available, and that's upper yard. So upper yard will let you search your top 5. You're going to look for your curve, which is most important. So we'll talk about the rest of the curve after this. So 1 Dawn is going to be upper yard. So we've locked that in. Then next is your 3 Dawn turn. So this deck doesn't have a very good 3 Dawn play either. So your options are Holy and Shura and upper yard. So you can play any of these 3 on your 3 Dawn turn and then use the rest of the Dawn to swing. Okay, next is your 5 Dawn turn. So on your 5 Dawn turn, you attach 1 Dawn to your leader and use your leader effect, and you will play down either of the options you have, which is the 4-cost Wiper and the 5-cost Wiper. If you have the upper yard on board, generally you want to play the 5-cost Wiper instead so that you can add cards to your hand. Other than that, you also want to play the 5-cost Wiper because it's a bigger body, and notably, if you do have 5-cost Wiper in your starting hand and you have to choose between like playing down upper yard or playing Shura, you should definitely play the upper yard instead. Now, other than Wiper on 5, you're also going to be playing Ohm or this 4-cost Wiper. So generally, like let's say in your starting hand, in your hand at this turn, you don't have the upper yard on board maybe. You have Wiper and you have Ohm. It is probably safer to play down the Wiper with your leader effect and then just play the Ohm with the 4 Dawn. But if you feel like you want to gamble or you already have an upper yard in hand, like let's say on your 5 Dawn turn you top deck the upper yard, it's possible that you just go Wiper, look at your top 5, play down your upper yard, and then look for the 5-cost Wiper vanilla instead. The 5-cost Wiper instead, and then you can leader effect and play down the 5-cost Wiper. But the best possible curve is playing down Wiper here, bottoming your upper yard, and then you play Ohm and you play Holy. So this would be the perfect 5 Dawn turn for Kalgara. So very, very strong. And then let's say you pass turn, you go to your 7 Dawn turn now. For your 7 Dawn turn, of course, this is the time where you play your 6 cost Kalgara with your leader effect and take a life, and then you can play either the Nolan to heal or the Rush Ace to push more damage. So that's your remaining Dawn, either of these cards, and then your last Dawn can be used to attach, or it can be used to play an upper yard or anything like that as well. If you have another 5 cost Wiper in hand, you can also just use this 6 Dawn on upper yard plus Wiper, which is also pretty good. But it depends on what you have in hand as well, and what you're planning on doing next turn, because if you don't have any other Shandoran warriors, it might be better to hold this to play down next turn instead. Generally, I think Nolan is the highest priority to play, just so you can heal back, but you don't have to always do it. Okay. Next is your 9 Dawn turn. 9 Dawn turn onwards is pretty varied. You can do a lot of different things. Generally, you would spend most of your Dawn like attaching to things and then attacking. Then you can just play one body with your leader effect. So you can just leader swing, play down a Wiper, then maybe you spend 5 Dawn on like a Nolan or a Holy or something like that, and then the remaining Dawn can be used to either swing or to leave open for counter events, because at this point you should be at like 1 life or less. So, and after that 10 Dawn is pretty much the same as well. So you kind of just like play one character, then play one with your leader effect, and then you leave a bunch of Dawn open for counter events. Now the going second curve is pretty similar. So going second, again, you start with either upper yard or Shura. And similarly, you prioritize playing down the upper yard if you already have 5 cost Wiper in hand, so he becomes better. And you're looking for the Holy combo on your 4 Dawn turn. So you want to do into Holy. If you don't have the but you do have the Holy, it is also an option to play the Holy and then swing 6. The Holy and then swing 6 and play down Wiper to get like a pseudo Holy effect. But of course this means you do have to take a life. Okay. So Holy, 6 Dawn turn, leader swing, play down the 6 cost Kalgara, and then either of your 3 5 cost units to play alongside it. And then 8 Dawn turn, kind of do whichever you want as well. You can play another Nolan, you can play another 5 cost, you can leader effect out a 5 cost, or another Kalgara vanilla as well. So lots of different options after the 6 Dawn turn, but the perfect curve going second is basically just this into this into this. So that's very straightforward, and then your searchers will find you the rest of the pieces. So 1, 2, 4, 6. That's your curve. Okay, in terms of mulligan criteria, I think what's important is to just look for curve pieces. Most importantly, you just want to make sure that your turn 2 and your turn 3 are strong. Even if you don't have a searcher, it's okay. As long as you have like Holy on 4 Dawn, you have Kalgara plus 5 cost on 6 Dawn, I think it's okay to keep the hand. Because end of the day, you do have a lot of searchers as well, and the turns after like this 6 Dawn turn are not that important or anymore. But the most important turns are definitely these 2 turns. You want to make sure that you develop bodies. So that's what you're mulliganing for most of the time. You're playing against Kalgara. So when you're looking at Kalgara and they have 2 Dawn open, you do have to play around a multitude of events. So for example, the Kalgara has access to all of these cards, all of these event cards. Yeah. So these are the 3 main ones that you will see most commonly against Kalgara. So let's say they have 3 Dawn open, they can cast up to 3 of any of these events. So this really depends on what your board state is like, but the most common thing to do would be to swing with a 9k swing first. However, if you're going for lethal, it's probably better to swing with a 6k swing with your 4 cost body first, so that you can play around the flame split. This is also because like if you want to show them the 6k swing, there's a high chance they just do flame split plus 1k. So you're able to burn out 2 cards out of them, and their +1 to leader is quote unquote not free anymore. Whereas if you did a 5k swing with a 4-cost unit, then they would flame split and rest another 4-cost unit, so you would lose out on that. After that, you want to swing with 9k swings usually, because you want to play around the L-Tor. So you're going to be swinging 9k swings as many times as you can to play around L-Tor, and 9k swings force L-Tor +1. And if they don't have L-Tor, the 9k swing will force out the Earth +2. You're able to get 2 cards out of them from a 9k swing. If you are aware that they've searched the Earth, whatever, this event, if you're aware that they searched this event, then you can do 8k swings. But it is still probably better to swing 9 in case they have both this event and the L-Tor. Also remember that if you know that they have an upper yard, that doesn't mean that it's a brick, because if they play this event, they can put the upper yard on board and they can search a 2k from it or 1k from it. So you need to make sure that you aren't locking yourself in that, oh okay, he has upper yard, that means he has a brick in hand, because he can play it down during your combat and then get additional counter from that. That being said, I think that's basically everything to say about Kalgara. The deck is very Unga Bunga. You just kind of play bodies and then turn them sideways, and that's basically it. It's fun to play because it's straightforward, it's easy, and the curve is not very hard to replicate because the deck is quite consistent due to the fact that it has 16 whole searches, although not all of the searches hit everything. But I think it's a really good deck. I think it has a lot of potential for OP08. It's a very good aggro option for people who like aggro. Very similar to the Flamingo, but a bit different still. So I think it's really good. The one thing is lacking in as a deck is removal, but I think it kind of has to be that way because you are kind of locked into the Shandora Warrior kind of archetype. So that's basically it for me. This is how I would build Kalgara right now. I think that there's definitely options to change a few different cards out of the deck, but it is mostly kind of solved already. If the meta progresses and people find out new ways to build Kalgara, I'll be very excited to try it out as well. But for now, this is what I have for you based on some Asian results as well. And I hope that the video was helpful. If you have any questions, make sure to drop me a DM or a comment. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. And subscribe to the channel. Follow me on X. We just reached 2,000 followers. Thank you so much for all of that. And I will see you guys again next time, friendos and randos. Peace out.